Welcome, listeners, to a special edition of the Good Ole Gamers podcast. I'm Lyle McClendon. Tonight we have a special interview for you with Nathanael Weiss, the sole developer and mastermind behind Songbringer, a procedurally generated Zelda-like game. If you're a fan of old school classics such as Zelda and Secret of Mana, we here at the Good Ole Gamers highly recommend you check this title out.
I just want to get started off and ask you a few questions, or basically just, introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Nathanael Weiss. I've been developing games for over 20 years now, and I've always been a programmer. But about 10 years ago, I started making music. So I started making music then, and then about 3 years ago, I started making pixel art. And so finally, this is my first time I've ever made a video game all myself, making Songbringer, and so. Yeah, I'm really excited to make it because I've always been excited to make a procedurally generated sort of Zelda-like game.
Man, it's quite a fucking undertaking. Like I kind of dabble in a little bit of game development myself, and by yourself, holy shit, you got a hell of a lot of respect for me for being able to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, thanks.
We know that sort of thing is a major undertaking, like, from beginning to end on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've always been okay at programming, but when it comes to making music or art of any type at all, I just fall on my face. I can't do it.
Artistically dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought that about myself, too, to tell you the truth.
Huh.
I always thought I could never make art. And then finally I just started, and I was like, wait, this isn't that hard. It's kind of like being in third grade again. You just like put pixels here and there, and boom.
Yeah.
You got some art.
Everything comes together eventually in the end then.
Yeah, and you're always going to suck at everything the first time you start anything.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah, I think I'm a little too hard on myself when it comes to that. I'll make something like, man, this sucks. I just need to go home and kill myself.
That's kind of how we are sometimes with the podcast, because this is our first endeavor out into it. And, we think the same thing about it a lot of times. It's kind of like, what the hell have we got ourselves into?
Man, I looked in on some of your Twitch casts while you're developing the Songbringer, and I thought that was fucking awesome because I viewed you, having troubles with the program and doing the exact same thing that I did with my own, like compiling it, seeing the bug, changing code, commenting out code, just trying to figure out what the fuck you did wrong. And I was like, holy shit, I'm not alone. This is how it's done.
It is, man. Yep.
So yeah, that's really cool. One of the first questions I had for you, obviously this game is very influenced by Zelda, and I fucking love that. But is there any other influences you'd say the game would have?
Yeah. Secret of Mana, Sword of Mana.
Oh, nice.
Those ones especially where you had multiple players, you could have, you could play as the girl or whatever, and you could bring in a friend. So Songbringer is you're actually going to be able to play it multiplayer local. So you can bring in a friend on another controller, and one person will control the main hero, and one person will control this other hero. So, and also cool. Crystallis. Do you remember that game for Nintendo?
Vaguely, I do. Yeah,
I think me and you talked about this.
Yeah. Crystallis. I really like that one. It's also sort of a top-down adventure action RPG, similar to Zelda in ways, but very story-driven. And so that's why it inspires me to create a cool story for this game.
That's awesome, man. It kind of reminds me a bit of Brutal Legend, too.
I haven't played that one.
Okay, well, there's some similarities where your main character's like a rock star and using your guitar as a weapon at some points. It's pretty sweet.
Cool.
I really like the art style.
Yes.
That's going with the game, the pixelated old school look.
Thanks.
Definitely. Yeah. That was one of the questions I was wanting to ask. Like, do you think the recent like resurgence of people, really getting into like retro gaming.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be one of the things that could help make the game Songbringer an actual success.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's definitely going to help. And I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love it. And that's, I've always loved retro games. And for the entire 2000s, from like 2000 to 2010, I always wished there were still 2D games out there that were popular, and retro games. And then, so I'm just freaking stoked about this, It's like I'm so stoked that these games are popular today, and because I prefer them. I totally prefer them. It's what I grew up on. It's what I love.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's why I think that's one of the reasons we find ourselves going back to our, breaking out the Super Nintendos and all NES constantly.
And that brings me to another question I had. Do you know about the Retro VGS?
What's that? It sounds so familiar.
It's it's a Kickstarter project. Some of the guys at Retro Magazine have started, and it's pretty much going to be. It's a new console they're putting together that's going to be one of the first cartridge-based format consoles to come out in like 15 years.
Oh, awesome!
And I know they just announced that they're trying to land a bunch of different developers to release for them.
Yeah, and
I've seen something about where Capcom had been in talks about dropping like Mega Man 9 and stuff like that.
But I also saw we're about to be talking to Mike Kennedy, the head honcho of that, and I also saw where they're going to be helping like this more accessible to independent developers, and I was curious if the stars aligned. I know it's a very far off question. If you'd be interested in like releasing a cartridge for this game, because this looks like something I would love to sit down with the cartridge and the TV and drink me a 6-pack and just sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love that. Already, I've got plans. Like, if I can get enough funding, I'm going to put it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
Awesome.
And if that's a dream of mine for sure. Like, I would love to put it on a cartridge. That would be so sweet. So yeah, if the stars align, if I get the funds, if the game is commercially successful on Steam, then I'm going to keep going with it as far as I can and keep making it better too.
That's awesome. So, where did you get your start in game development? I know you said you've been in it about 20 years. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, I started in my when I was a teenager in high school. And I was just, I had a computer in my room, and I started making video games back in DOS. Like, so this was like, way back in the day. DOS, like, was it 6.0? I can't remember what DOS was, like, the last version, but that was before Windows 95. We had, like, Windows 3.1 back then. And yeah.
The original OG stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also noticed your development on developing it on Coco's 2D. What made you decide to go with that instead of like Unity or Game Maker or something like that?
That's a good question because Game Maker and Unity are way more popular these days.
Yeah.
But Coco's 2DX is open source, first of all. And I love open source because I'm such a programmer, that's where my biggest strength is. So it's like, if there's something I want to change in the game engine, I could do that. I can go into open source, boom, just change whatever I want. And I know Unity and Unreal now are now open source too or whatever, but I just prefer it because it's 2D oriented and I'm really, really comfortable with it already. I've used it for many projects before. So, and it's cross-platform, so I'm a kind of a do-it-yourself kind of guy, and Coco's 2DX is kind of a do-it-yourself type of game engine, so
I hear
that's
that.
pretty much it.
Yeah, I know like Unity and Unreal are more catered towards 3D, and they just kind of threw the 2D shit in on top of that, just kind of satisfy everyone.
Yeah, true.
One of the things I was wanting to ask, like we'd mentioned that you are developing this whole thing by yourself. What do you think your favorite thing about being your own one-man army is?
Oh, easy. It's being able to do whatever the hell I want.
Nice.
Yeah.
You know what I
Very
mean?
nice. Yeah, don't have the person over your shoulder trying to sway you in any sort of direction or anything.
Yeah, totally. And it's when you're working with a partner or a publisher or whatever, when you're working with anyone, at least I have this tendency to kind of be in a subordinate type of mindset. I'm like, oh, I better not do this because I wonder what they'll think. You know what I mean? So it's so great being a solo developer because I can do whatever the hell I want. I don't have to worry about what other people will think. So
that's sweet.
That'd be worth it alone just to take that off of your mind.
Yeah.
You're in complete control.
And speed too. You can develop things a lot faster when you don't have to run things by someone else.
Oh yeah, you don't have all the red tape to crawl through.
Yeah.
What do you think your least favorite thing about it is?
Oh, it's just how slow I am. You know.
The general process.
Yeah, I wish I could be faster at everything. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've encountered in my dabblings. I'd be working all day, and I'm like, man, I've got one fucking sprout done in 8 hours of work. What the fuck? This is never going to happen.
Yep.
Time-consuming things.
Yeah, it's very time-consuming.
But, I mean, more time you put in, the better it's going to be. So, I mean, I've always been take as much time as you need. Don't give me a shit product.
Yeah.
Right.
Man, I really liked the soundtrack that I heard in the trailer. Did you do all that yourself?
Yeah. I make the music in Ableton, and I do have plans to play some guitar too. So I'm gonna crack out some guitar at some point. But so far it's just electronic stuff.
Nice, man.
Yeah, it's really catchy.
Yeah.
It's something I would actually put on my MP3 player and walk around and listen to.
Yeah.
Cool.
The sound effects I heard is really reminiscent of Zelda, like Space Zelda. He really captured that.
Yeah. Cool. I'm glad.
So, do you have any sort of target release date for this?
Yeah. First quarter of 2016.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Either January, February, March, something like that. It'll come out on Steam then. And then for sure it's coming out on iOS because the Kickstarter hit its first stretch goal. So it's coming out on iOS for sure. And then if I can raise enough funds via people pre-ordering it, because they can pre-order it right now on Songbringer.com, and all those funds go towards getting it out on Android and PlayStation 4 and Xbox One too. So
that's awesome. I think we're gonna throw down a few pre-orders and give away a few copies to our listeners.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Right on.
This is something I wanna spread around.
Yeah, we've actually plugged Songbringer about what?
Twice now?
Yeah, first off a month ago maybe, something like that. One of the very first episodes.
Yeah.
I know. Brandon, I'm just now getting into the Steam thing myself, so Brandon kind of brought it to me, and I can say I was overly impressed because it's like the new retro. It's very fucking exciting to me.
Awesome.
What else you got, Brando?
I was curious. I know you're pretty early on to give a real good answer for this, but how long do you think it will take to play through one game of Songbringer? Because I know each time you play it's gonna be different. So. Yeah.
Well, it depends on what level player you are, whether you're a speed player or whether you're like a brand new to the game or whether you're kind of experienced with it. But in general, I'm thinking the game's going to be about a 2 to 3 hour type thing for most people. And then if you're really, really slow, it'll take hours longer. And I'm thinking if you're really, really fast, you can probably complete it in like a half an hour to an hour. That's where I'm thinking the speed records will be.
Okay, so nice. Are you going to implement any kind of internal timer for people who want to do speed runs?
Yeah, it's already got a timer. So whenever
excellent.
you bring up the menu, it's got a time for how long you've been playing.
Oh, nice.
So I've never been much of a speedrunner. I'm more of the one to go around and explore every freaking
completionist.
Me too. Yeah, I'm one of those.
I've always been the kind of person, I fly through everything generally. I've still got that Mario speedrun thing stuck in me.
So, what all kinds of artifacts and abilities do you have planned for this so far? I saw some of them listed. I wasn't sure if that was a complete list or not.
Yeah, well, so some of them you've probably already seen so far are you're going to be able to find all these orbs, and these orbs everything is technologically powered. So this is, the time frame for this is it's actually 10,000 years ago. from our time. So, but it's a technologically more advanced race of people, and they're in a different part of the Milky Way galaxy. So they're often like near the Bellatrix star system, which is part of the Orion arm here. So, anyways, there's lots of technology, and everything is powered by like nanites and just super awesome technology.
Technomancy.
Technomancy, right. So you get these orb things. One of the orbs is a teleport orb. And there's item crafting too, so you can combine things. So there's going to be fire in a bottle you can find, lightning in a bottle, ice in a bottle, all these like, sort of elemental things that kind of get trapped in sort of some kind of container or whatever. And then when you combine a teleport orb with any one of those, you get a teleport ability, which has also an elemental ability too. So you can turn into fire and teleport. So that's a really fun one that's already done. But there's lots more items planned. One of them is a guitar you can find, which kind of opens up different secrets, a lot like Zelda's flute.
That's sweet. Cool.
Yeah, there's going to be teleport cubes, so you can throw down one cube in part of the world, and you can use the other cube to warp back to that cube at any point.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, I remember wanting something like that in a lot of Zelda games.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I mean, I love exploring, but backtracking is a bitch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Man, what else? There's also going to be projectiles, of course, so you'll be able to get like a projectile type of orb. So you'll be able to, it's almost like a gun in a sense that you can fire different things from your sword. And your sword is, of course, a nano sword, so it hums, it like vibrates, and that's why it can chop through things so easily, and why it's so awesome. So you get all these upgrades for your sword, and they're little chips and stuff that can go inside your sword. But other than that, you know what's really cool is developing this live on Twitch. People come up with ideas every single day. They're like, yo, why don't you do this? And a lot of those ideas are kind of being put into the items too. So I'm excited. I don't even know what the heck is going to happen with all the items. That. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people are making their suggestions, and I'm sure some all the best suggestions will get put in the game.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's really cool to take all that input and just see where you can really run to with it.
Yeah, not just taking a George Lucas approach to like, this is my way and no one else is going to have a say in it.
Yeah, right.
When I was reading on your Kickstarter, you had your initial goal of 9,000, and how did you feel when you had hit past your goal for the 1,500? How did that make you feel to have that many people supporting what you do?
Oh my gosh, man, it's so freaking awesome because when I started it at all, I had no clue that this many people would like it. You know what I mean? And I'm just a humble developer. I have no name so far. All the games I've made, none of them have been very popular. So it's like, so I had never really marketed my games well. That's why I haven't really developed much of a name yet. So I had no expectations. And to go into the Kickstarter and have it actually succeed, I was like, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome, I'm still celebrating. Every night I'm like, man, I'm so thankful that I have the funds to actually do this game now. And there's a bunch of people that are stoked to play it already. So
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
That's definitely awesome. You don't meet many people that do that sort of thing that are just completely humbled by it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it takes a good bit of initiative just to get out there and put an idea forward because internet's full of trolls and haters and so many assholes. So.
Internet's a dark place.
Yes.
Yeah. It can be, but and especially on like Steam, there's a lot of haters there. But you know what? On Kickstarter, that's one of the positive parts of the internet is there. On Kickstarter, people are freaking awesome.
Yeah. There's not just people to talk shit and belittle you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually if you hate something on Kickstarter, you just close your browser and go on. You don't stick around to just talk shit and,
Yeah.
and spread grief. And then if you like it, you donate to it,
Like
spread the
comment
word.
thread that spirals out of control,
Yeah.
sort of deal.
So yeah, that's pretty freaking awesome. I'm stoked about all of this.
Yeah, me too. It looks really good.
Thanks, guys.
So I read that the story of the game, the character finds a cursed sword. Can you let us in any information about the sword and, you know, kind of how the story plot goes?
Yeah. So basically, the plot's like this: you're part of this ship called Songbringer, and Songbringer is this spaceship that goes and flies around to different planets looking for places to party. So it's sort of like full of 400 different friends that are all artists, musicians, creators. They're all kind of creative people, and so somehow they got a hold of this ship, and they fly around just looking for places to party. And other ships join them, and they have this big old, almost like a festival type of party. And so they find this planet that is rumored to have no police, no cops, no galactic police come to this planet at all. So they get to this planet, they start partying, nobody's sober. The main hero, Rock, he goes and gets off on his speeder bike and goes to decide to explore the planet because he thinks there's going to be some cactuses down there that he can eat, which will help him party even more.
That's awesome.
So he gets to the planet's surface and he crashes his bike and he's like, oh man, I'm crashing my bike. He takes his friend Jib with him along the way. Jib is this flying robot guy that comes with him on his adventure. And right where he crashes his bike, there's this cave. He's like, oh, what's in this cave? And there's a sword. Whoa, a sword. He picks up the sword, and little does he know that he has triggered the awakening of an ancient evil army. So what had actually happened 10,000 years before that was there was this great war where there's all these different evil creatures fighting good people, and they were unable to defeat this ancient evil army in this old war. And so they actually put them all in sleep. They got them trapped in some sort of cryo sleep, and the sword was the lock, the lock and key, which held them all in their sleep. And so Rock goes and takes away the sword and basically awakens this ancient evil army, and that's the beginning of the game. So
that's badass.
Nice.
That's a really unique story. I love it.
cool. And along the way, you get to eat cactuses. So you find these cactuses, and when you eat them, they give you these psychedelic powers. So you can see secret walls. Like in Zelda, in Zelda 1, you have no idea where to place bombs. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe I can bomb that wall right there.
Yeah.
So this one, if you have cactuses, you can eat the cactuses, and that'll show you where to bomb.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That would have made for far fewer frustrated instances.
Yeah.
Like back in the day of just throwing a random fucking bomb against the wall and seeing what comes of it.
I just love the idea of eating like space peyote and getting fucked up and fighting shit.
Yeah, the whole idea of finding just a planet to party on is
Yeah.
that's like worth its weight
Get
in
away from the
gold
space
right
cops.
there. Yeah, that's excellent.
It is. So you mentioned it's gonna be 2-player. Both players gonna be like in full like basically equal type characters. Is one just gonna be somewhat of a helper?
Yeah, there's going to be an emphasis on the single player element. So
Okay.
the main character is going to be have most of the control. The second player will kind of be like will be actually invincible, but will have different abilities. So the second character is invincible and can't actually hurt enemies either, but they can stun enemies and they can lift objects with telekinesis and things like that. So
Okay.
So it'll be sort of a different support. It's like a support character basically.
Yeah. That'd be awesome. You get a buddy over and he can do something besides drink a beer and have a thumb up his butt.
Yeah, it's set
Right.
set idle while
Yeah.
you handle all the business. I was kind of wondering, just being to somebody that actually has developed a game, what do you think the hardest part of getting into the game industry would be from, a developer's point of view?
Well, I guess it's the initial breakthrough. You know what I mean? You've got to have your own. You got to have faith in yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like a lot of people are afraid to even try or even make a whole game because they think it will suck for this reason or that reason. You know, they think they suck at programming or art or music or whatever. You know, you can think you suck at all of them, but
yeah, you just named me. So
right, exactly. So that's the thing. To break into the industry, all you've got to do is break into the industry. You got to break into your own abilities and actually believe in yourself enough to actually try. You know what I mean? And you might not succeed with your first game, but if you keep going and if you keep making games and if you love it, if you really love it, you'll keep going. You'll do it anyways.
Yeah. I think I'm about out of questions here. You got anything else you want to tell us about it or about the whole development process?
Well, it's really fun. You know, this is my passion. I love doing this. My favorite part about game development is that you get to combine so many different art forms. You know, code itself is an art form.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, pixel art I love pixel art, and like that's its own art form. Music is also its own art, and also storytelling. And then you combine all these things, and you get to blend them together into an interactive form of art. It's not like watching a movie where you can't control it. This is a video game where you get to play it, you get to immerse yourself in it, you know? So that's why it's my passion. That's why I love doing it.
That's awesome. Well, do you like possibly have, I'm sure you do, but do you have plans like post Songbringer already? Or
plans for what again?
Anything like post Songbringer afterwards?
Oh, yeah. If it does well, I do have some ideas in mind for where the plot will keep going. So, yeah, if the first one does well, I have plans for 2 and 3.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
You're not going to riddle everyone with a bunch of $5 DLCs, are you?
I don't think so. I really don't have any plans for downloadable content or in-app purchases at this point. But I may be swayed by that. There's people on the streams that keep telling me, you should have this, you should do that, or think about this, you know. But I don't know. I don't really like the games these days where it's like, buy more.
Yeah.
You know, I hate that stuff. So.
Pay to win, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I grew up buying expansion packs. I don't mind that, but, you know, here, pay $5 for a hat. Here, pay $5 for this.
Yeah. You need that level 4 chalice? Give me $15. Yeah.
So yeah, it's really good to hear. We've ran it many times on our podcast about DLC.
Yeah.
If done tastefully, it can be awesome, but many times it's just abuse.
It leaves a sour taste in everybody's mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've went back and forth several times about the DLC thing. It's a necessary evil though in the video game world.
There's good uses for it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I can't say nothing. I purchased DLC.
I've purchased my fair share of it too.
You know, it happens.
So where can everyone find you streaming your development at? I'm sure there'll be others that'll want to watch you.
Yeah, so it's just songbringer.com. It has all the links to my Twitch channel, the YouTube. So not only is it live streamed every day, but every one of the live streams is on YouTube too. Okay. So you can go back to day one when all I had was a single brown screen with not even a player on it, and like you can see from that day on, every day is on YouTube. So.
Oh, that's sweet. Do you also stream like any of your music creation or
yes.
pixel art making?
Yeah, I haven't made music that much live, but there's like about 2 or 3 or 4 different streams where I'm doing live music. I think one of them is day 83. I actually got that question today on the Twitch stream. So somebody was asking, hey, did you ever stream some music? But yeah, day 83, I was making one of the songs, actually the title song for the Kickstarter video. So
okay,
yes,
and that's awesome. Just being able to see someone do anything like that in and realize you're not doing things quite so different. That's quite awesome.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You know, we're all. It's not like I'm some genius or anything. It's like this stuff is easy enough for anybody to handle if they just believe, you know.
Yeah.
Just got to have that dedication and that drive to actually
that's the thing.
Focus in and do it.
Dedication and drive. It's not something you just do overnight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, how do you actually handle like the haters you encounter on the internet? You know, like the ones that comment negative about you. You know, that don't even know anything about the game. Like, how do you just ignore it? Essentially.
That's a really good question. Because it's that was one of those things I dealt with for a whole week. I was like, oh my gosh, these haters. I was so worried about them and stuff. Because I got this one guy trolled me so bad one time, and then this other time on the stream we had this like undead troll. This guy kept coming back with like 5 different account names. We're like, what the hell? Like, well, stop. It was so crazy. So I kept banning him because he was just such a horrible guy. It's talking so much trash, like in a really negative way. I'm like, man. So that really got me down for a minute. But you know what? I realized that the best thing you can do is just either ignore them or ban them. Or, you know, if they're being a total dick like this guy was, just ban them if you can. But otherwise, just ignore them, you know. And you focus on the other thing is like 90. Like I did the math on the Steam page when I was going through Greenlight. Like 98% of people had amazingly positive comments, and there was only like 2% of people that had hater comments. So I was like, you know what? I should focus on the 98% of people that are having great, awesome, positive comments, you know, and not focus so much on the 2% of hate. So.
Yeah, there's some people on this planet you can't ever please.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, you can't.
Especially on the internet.
Yeah.
People are so ruthless and just ignorant when it comes to anything on there.
Yeah. It's a lot easier to be so rude when you're hiding behind a monitor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're about wrapped up here.
Yeah.
So we can find, our listeners can find everything they need to know about you at songbringer.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Awesome, man. We do appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, cool. Well, good chat with you guys, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Okay, we'll see you.
See you.
Thank you.